The Reds are flying off the back of 4 straight wins with hopes of pulling off a premiership miracle still alive with victory today. While for the visiting Sydney FC, it's getting to must-win time as they look to stave off a challenge to their final spot. Welcome to a sold-out Cooper Stadium for Good Friday football. Does it get any better than this in the Isuzu UTE A-League? Right here on Paramount Plus. Since the early days of the A-League men, Adelaide United's red and the sky blue of Sydney FC have been like oil and water. From that opening season where Adelaide lifted the Premier's plate in front of the Sky Blues faithful and Sydney conquered them en route to the championship, the fault lines run deep. 3 times the Sky Blues have knocked the Reds out of the finals. Today, it's Sydney staring off the precipice, and Adelaide with the chance to put a hole in their top 6 ambitions. Here is the Reds team news. No surprises that Carl Viet has only made the one change after that 3-2 victory away against the Wanderers, and that is forced with Isaias missing. Jay Barnett slots into midfield. Louis Dorigo will play his 100th match for the Reds, becoming the youngest player to reach that mark by more than 2 years. Hiroshi Ibasuki has scored in the last 2, but he never has scored against the Sky Blues, the only side he hasn't done so against in the Isuzu UTE A-League. Ben Warland, the former Sydney FC man, spent 4.5 seasons with the Sky Blues. Never scored for them. He's actually scored all his goals this season, 2 of those coming last week against Western Sydney Wanderers in that crucial win on the road for Adelaide. Despite the disappointment of a 3-3 draw with Western United last week, Steve Corica has refrained from changing his team. There is certainly no reason to replace Robert Mack, who has rediscovered his very best form. He has 3 goals in his last 2 across club and country. Young Socceroo Jake Girdwood-Reich makes back-to-back starts, while Adam Lafondra is on the bench. He would play his 100th A-League match if he comes off the pine today. He loves Cooper Stadium, 5 goals across his 4 matches here. And what a week it's been, though, for the Reds boss, Carl Viet, signing a 3-year extension as Reds boss. So we're ready to go at a sold-out Cooper Stadium as Adelaide look to make it 5 straight wins and put a hole in the Sky Blues finals hopes. And Andy Harper, this has all the hallmarks of a Good Friday cracker.
Yeah, g'day, Benny. Good to be with you. Looking forward to this game. Great way to start the long weekend. And happy Easter to all. And can Adelaide march on? If they do march on, and Sydney remain in that position, just hanging on to a top 6 with 3 weeks to go after this. Nipping at their heels are Perth Glory, who play Melbourne Victory on Sunday. And whatever the result there, if Sydney don't win, there's going to be even more heat on the Sky Blues.
It's getting rather tight around the bottom of that top 6. Sydney FC get a huge win here and all of a sudden they can just ease the pressure, but you sense the Sky Blues fans still expect more. As Javi Lopez goes to ground. And we're going to see a free kick. It was a belated decision and punching the ground in a way that shows that there might be a bit more about this.
Well, it was great work from Lopez to win the ball. It really didn't look much in the first instance, nor on replay, actually.
Well, brilliant from the set piece last week. You've got to keep an eye out for Ben Warland. And Goodwin is going for goal. Caballo got his head to it. Just a little conversation there with Redmayne. It all ended well. It will be a corner for the Reds, though. And this is where they were so damaging last week against Western Sydney. Goodwin delivering near post. Almost 3 times in a week, Ben Warland, that time denied by a ripping save from Andrew Redmayne. Now Clough And another corner on the way, and Caballo has a headache to go with it.
Well, all week, Robbie Stanton, the assistant coach of Sydney, would have been drumming into the players of these corners against. Girdwood Reich had the assignment. He was tight on his man. But Warland got to the ball first.
Clough finds Halloran, and the ball in finds Craig Goodwin. Just curves it around and wide with that right boot. We've seen him score with the less favoured foot. Couldn't do so on that occasion.
Sensational opportunity. Again, the pass and go, players running angles in behind, and Sydney just not tracking runners.
And that is beautiful football from Adelaide to allow Halloran some space down the right. Clough! Oh, that almost curled in the back post. He scored some spectacular goals. That one would have been right up there.
Well, Wilkinson's asking if it was onside or off, and I think it was probably on. And Ben Halloran's been really dangerous. That's tantalising for Adelaide fans. And Zach Clough, he's really growing into this role at Adelaide.
Lopez finding Halloran. And Lopez continuing the run. That's spied by Jay Barnett. Clipped into the space that Clough was occupying. Oh, intricate build-up from the Reds, and somehow Sydney have cleared it off the line. Well, that's miraculous defending from the Sky Blues, but how about the attack from Adelaide United? And now Max Burgess has the ball pinched off his toes by Ben Warland. And here they come again. Wilkinson. It's not for the first time this afternoon that Adelaide have just picked the Sky Blues apart in their defensive end.
And again, it's down the left-hand side. Caballo finding it really difficult to contain Halloran, and then when Zach Clough joins in, again, all over the top. It was an unremarkable bit of play, really, from Adelaide until that beautiful little twist from Zach Clough to really open things up. And it was Jack Rodwell who'd saved the blushes of Sydney.
Kitto. Here's Goodwin. Little push from Luke Bratton. The Red skipper wins a free kick. Goodwin clipping it. Girdwood Reich got back to do the defensive work for Sydney FC and not it clear. Caceres has been playing high on that left edge for the last couple of weeks. He's releasing Joe Lolly. Robert Mack getting in position. Lolly loves that left boot. And Joe Lolly trying to find an opening, and he very nearly arrowed it into the bottom corner. Well, what a chance that was for Sydney FC's talisman.
Well, it's a superb switch from Caceres, and Lolly, what a terrific outlet as well. It bears down on goal and jinks inside one and then two, and they just wouldn't sit for it. And he couldn't make the most of it. And Adelaide have escaped big time. He is the most likely.
Halloran came at him, almost took out two players in one there. Caceres was also taken out of play for a moment. And Kitto, Caballo's still down. There's Goodwin linking up with Kitto. That's a strong and willing challenge between him and Grant. Kitto gives away the free kick now. This may force a change here for Sydney FC. Caballo still clutching at the ankle, it looks.
Did he stick a stud there? And Halloran hasn't seemed to do anything particularly wrong. Couldn't see a collision with Caceres.
He's just showing the fourth official his leg. And you can see the gash there on the lower part, just under the calf. And it looks nasty. So it was Ben Halloran who was controlling the ball there. This is the incident.
There's no question that that hurts. I can't see that. It's just one of those accidental pieces of contact from what I can see.
Slips it just a little behind Ben Halloran, who returns it to Clough. Lopez's cross. Redmayne got across, so too Rodwell. And now it's a corner for the Reds.
Well, it's probably been the best part of Adelaide's play today is the little third person involvement inside right, just inside the penalty area.
Bratton, can they find something right on the stroke of half-time? Caceres just knew he couldn't run that down. Steve Corica, he'll give his defensive unit a tick. But they really need 3 points. Really need 3 points to try and keep the chasing pack at bay, who are playing across the weekend. Western United, of course, they went down to the Mariners earlier this afternoon. But there's so many other sides around them, Perth, Newcastle, and they will want to find a goal in the second 45 minutes. Carl Veart, a frustrated figure. We haven't seen that too often lately as he strides down the tunnel. His side unable to find a goal in a match for the first time in a half of football in 4.5 games. So Sydney FC defensively have been able to address those frailties of weeks gone by. And Craig Goodwin just having a little chat to Lockie Barr and Joe Gauci as they go down. High standards expected in Adelaide. Half-time, it's the Reds 0, Sydney FC 0. A few opportunities to talk of in that first half. Maybe we'll find some goals in the second 45 minutes. And we are underway in the second 45 here in the City of Churches. Adelaide searching for 5 consecutive wins and a 12-match unbeaten run. Just the 3rd time in club history they would achieve that feat if they got a result out of this one. And Andy Harper, maybe, just maybe, we'll see a little bit more open football in this second 45.
Well, that depends on Sydney. I mean, they're the ones really that need to win the football match. Adelaide, of course, hoping certainly to put pressure on Melbourne City and keep pressure on them. But of the two teams, it's Sydney who should be more desperate to win. So therefore, at some point, they're going to have to break open.
And Sydney turn it over. And Ben Halloran hasn't scored in about 11 matches in the Isuzu UTE A-League, and he's handed it back to Sydney FC. And look at Joe Lawley running down the right. Can Robert Mack find him? Mackey's been in this kind of territory before, both the club and country, and he produced a better outcome than he did on that occasion. Jay Barnett did well to get in front and shield the shot from troubling Joe Gauci. Speaking of all competitions, it's in all likelihood that Adelaide could put themselves in pole position for an AFC Cup slot if they finish second this season in the competition, the way it's all panned out. There's Clough slipping it in behind. This is lovely build-up. Lopez, and now Goodwin, and again, Jack Rodwell was on the line, but on this occasion, he could only deflect it in, and Adelaide have the lead just after half-time.
Well, what didn't come in the first has come in the second. Almost identical situations, as you can see on the Harvey Norman replay. The penetration again down Sydney's left-hand side. And the cut ball to Craig Goodwin, whose first half contact was crisp and sure. So too in the second half. Jack Rodwell was there again as well. But this time, Jack Rodwell can't clear the lines and can only help it into the back of his own goal.
Caballo driving it in low. And problem here, Reza Fagani's going to go over, just have a look on the health of Zach Clough. This would be a concern for the Reds, the fact that he's holding his head. They've just copped a little bit of a shoulder. Is there an elbow in there? Maybe the right shoulder of Girdwood Reich. Just doing the concussion test to see whether he can continue. This would be a huge blow for the Reds. You look at the bench and it's incredible. Andy Howe did the statistical analysis. If you take out James Delianov, who's a weary 23 years old, the average age for the Adelaide bench is 18.3, I believe, years old. That's amazing. And just hidden there behind Carl Viet was Nestorian Kunda. Touched on it before. Jay Barnett off for Ethan Alagich. And he's being told to leave by the shortest route. Jay Barnett and Jovanovic, who's scored 2 goals in 5 appearances in the Isuzu UTE A-League. 2 of those coming in his last 3 matches against Wellington and Newcastle. He's going to replace Hiroshi Ibasuki. We're also hearing that there's a change for Sydney, and that is the same change that occurred at this point in the game last week, Harps, in that Girdwood Reich has been replaced by Adam Lafondra, who's out there now.
But they lose that with... They lose the experience.
And Adam Lafondra, he's just in behind, and he blasts it into the side netting. He was asking for someone in the middle. No one was presenting for the Englishman.
That's not a good look. He's frustrated. And in the end felt like I've got no choice but to shoot myself. I really want to drop this. We said it in the first half. There were 1 or 2 occasions. Lolly hit a beautiful cross in the first half, and there was no Sydney player attacking the ball, and it was a carbon copy there, and Lafondra's asked pointedly of Max Burgess.
So Sydney FC, they just have to get something out of this match. They have to find a goal. Burgess, Lolly, and Gauchi. When asked, he delivers a point-blank save to deny the Englishman. Alagich is off now. This match just starting to show signs of a little bit more openness. So strap yourselves in for the final 17.5 minutes plus stoppages. So Adelaide, their run home. They've got Western United at home, Perth away, Mariners at home. A couple of matches coming up they would expect to win before that Mariners match at home. Here is the chance for Joe Lolly.
Well, Lafondra was asking for it to be squared.
Time running through the hourglass here for Sydney FC. They are coming for Adelaide, but they're also running out of time. This is intricate build-up. Burgess, Lafondra! He scores again at Cooper Stadium. 6 in 5. And Sydney FC, they were coming to get Adelaide. And they get the equaliser. Can they go on and inflict further pain?
Substitution for number 10, Macca.
Well, they've meandered a lot in possession today, Sydney. And the Harvey Norman replay will show a beautiful bit of precise and incisive play. Adelaide couldn't keep the centre of the field sufficiently blocked up. It was a little bit fortuitous in the end, in truth, for Adam Lafondra. But it was a beautiful passing sequence from the Sydney players. Burgess into Lafondra, and then the deflection in to level the scores.
And now it's Burgess. Has Joe Lolly making the run. It's Lolly versus Barr, and Lolly flashes it wide. He hasn't scored in 7 matches, and geez, come close on at least 3 occasions today, Joe Lolly.
Well, it wouldn't be out of place for Joe to score. He has had a great game.
And Burgess, King almost left it behind. He was harassed there by Iran Kunda. Burgess. Still Max Burgess. And now Lolly. From an almost impossible situation. The ball behind him. And he got that kind of power, just not the accuracy. He'll be wondering how he hasn't scored tonight, Joe Lolly.
Well, there hasn't been a huge amount of flair from Sydney, but they've shown great perseverance as this half has rolled on. Max Burgess in particular has become more and more prominent.
And Lolly gives it up. And it will be back-to-back draws between these two sides in season 18 of the Isuzu UTE A-League. It was Craig Goodwin, his 11th of the season, which put Adelaide in front just after the half-time break. But as soon as Adam Lafondra entered the fray, he continued his love affair with Cooper Stadium. He scored his 6th goal in 5 matches here in the City of Churches, and that meant Sydney were able to earn a share of the points and just keep creeping up in 6th spot on the table, but they will have a nervous wait across the rest of the weekend. Full time at Cooper Stadium, Adelaide United 1, Sydney FC 1.